All right, guys, welcome back. So you can see from the last video that I 3D printed a extension for this part of the cone motor or cone rotor or whatever you want to call it. And I did that so that when I hold the coils on either side, I'll have more room. Before, the coils were over here, and the other cone half that fits in like this was there wasn't enough room for the coil. Excuse me. And so I also printed out some spacers because this is the good end. And I also 3D printed out some holders for these magnets. So I have a magnet inside here, one in here, and one down in there. And I drilled a hole, and you can see I've got a nut holding it in like this, and it's really tight, and I have a a lock ring in there. These guys here. Here's the magnets right here. So if you remember from the last video, I was using smaller magnets and it wasn't working. And then I increased the weight. I increased the strength of the magnets with the weight. And because of that, it started to work, and I was able to get it to fire and spin. So yeah, what I'm doing now is I'm drilling. I've got all the spaces marked out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 8 spaces. I'm going to put these guys on, and we'll set it up with, damn it. We'll set it up with the coils and see if it'll work. I mean, I know it'll work. My only concern was it going to hit the bottom there? And you can see it's nowhere near hitting the bottom. So we have plenty of space. I also wanted to show you this thing that I made. I put a steel pin in here, drilled this out, put a pin in there, and I have my camera mount. So this guy comes around and it's articulated or whatever, swing arm thing. And I use that for when I want to have 2 hands free. But yeah, this guy's getting ready for a first run, a proper first run. Oh, I also got a longer stainless steel rod for this, because I was going to put a disc on the end here and run it from that, but I decided to go with this extension instead, and it fit really tight. I didn't need to put these screws in, but I did anyway, which meant that I had to put my stand out where now this part is floating, but it's all right. It's still nice and sturdy. All right, stay tuned. Now, so really quick, just for comparison, these were the magnets that I was trying to use on there when I first did it. And of course, even though they're N52s, for this big mass, there's no way these little magnets would work. The weight alone, I don't think was any good. But of course, the strength too. But now that I have these monsters on there, that should work just fine. All right, stay tuned. You know, now that I think about it, 4 would probably work just fine. But I'm going to go ahead and put all 8 on. But I think 4 would work just fine. Of course, this thing's got a little bit of a wobble in it. For some reason, I thought I had gotten this on straight. And I did get it on straight. It's just that the whole system is just a little bit crooked. But that's all right. It's not meant to be perfect. It's meant to just be fun and work. And I was worried about these not being locking nuts, but they're nice and tight. The lock ring works perfectly on there with the PLA. I didn't know if it was going to work, but it seems to work just fine. I'm going to have to put more of a spacer in here again, because I have the right distance back here. I don't know if you can see. That's the right distance, if I remember correctly, But I'm going to have to put a spacer in there, I think. I still need to fit it all together once I get the other ring on. Because like I said earlier in an earlier video, I went with attraction and I should have gone with repulsion. I went with one of these, or these one cone set being north and the other cone set being south. And what I should have done was just made them all north or all south. It would have been easier to fit the second cone in there because it would have pushed against each other. Instead, it wants to pull. I was able to get it in there, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. But let me get the rest of the magnets on there. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so I finished with this extension piece. Put some spacers in there. This is just there's a bearing on the other side of this bearing. Same thing over here and 2 inside here. So there's 4 bearings on the unit itself. Then this is a spacer bearing. So that it, yeah, kind of like that. So that it can either rotate with the shaft or without the shaft. So I can hold the shaft and it will still rotate, or it will rotate with the shaft. When it rotates with the shaft, it rotates better. But there's a bearing in here and there's a bearing on the other side. And I'm getting ready to test now to see if these magnets are going to be good enough to run the unit just like this. If they are, then it should run the entire unit. Let me turn this puppy on. All right, so let me get the coil set up and I'll bring you back. Stay tuned. So I'm not going to stay with this setup. I want to build, excuse me, a stand for the coil that puts the coil at the halfway point, because that's where it operates the best. This will just be for a test, but I need to mount these coils here. So what I may do is just get some, screws, and just screw it in there really quick, just for it to run the test. But yeah, I don't want to use this setup. I don't like it. I mean, it works, but all right, stay tuned. It's working. And it's working really well, too. Let me turn it down a little bit. Yeah, it's working really well. So I know that those magnets and these coils can handle the weight of this guy. Putting out some good output, too. It does look a little cockeyed, and there is a little shimmy in there. I think the long rods I got were slightly bent. Yeah, that's me holding the rod and me letting the rod go. So I know that it works. I have to fix my coils, though. One of the clip housings came off. Surprised it's even still working. Anyway, yeah, it's working. So let me get the whole thing together. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so this is turning out to be one of the longest videos that's ever taken me to complete, because I've been really sick. But I did 3D print some stands for the 2 coils. Now, if you remember the last video, you know these coils work good because of the extra powerful magnets I put on. And in fact, it'll work with just 1 coil. But I like to have the 2 because it's a dual coil circuit. So now what I'm going to do is take these off, mount the second cone half, or the second 2 cones, and see if I can't get it to work with the 2 cones attached to each other like this. Like these are attached and the other ones are attached. See if I can get that to work. It worked in the demo that I did, so we'll have to see. All right, stay tuned. All right, so I got it set up. So all I have to do now is fire it up, get them synced together, I might have to lower one of them. And somebody, I forget who it was in the comments, said I should take these off and do these north, south, north, south, north, south. That's a really good idea. And I don't know why I didn't think of it the first time. But I still think this will work. Probably not well, but it'll work. Just trying to figure out the best way. Yeah, I can get them to sync. Oh, but I got to go lay down. All right, stay tuned. All right, so I shimmed these up by 3 millimeters. And as you can see, the interaction works. If I spin it really fast, though, it doesn't. Unless I get the other one up to speed, and then it catches. So it'll be tricky, but I think I'm ready to fire it up. Stay tuned. All right, guys. So as I feared, this is going too fast. And even when I try to slow it down, it doesn't catch. I'm getting really good output, obviously, because I've got huge magnets on there. But what's really strange is, if I get it going really fast, it will connect, but it won't stay connected. And even if I turn it down to like 6 volts, it kind of works. What I'm going to do is I'm not giving up on this. Yeah, it won't, even, I have it at 7 volts. Bring it back up. Yeah, so what I'm going to try is I'm going to raise up I'm going to shim this up higher to bring it closer to that. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to try some of the suggestions that I've heard people say. I think the most common one is to disconnect these so that they're not one. Oops, let me slow this guy down. Yow, 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 yow. So that it's not, because it's really weird. When I go like this, really slow, it works. Kinda. See, watch. I go like that, it works. But unfortunately, I can't get this to go slow enough for it to catch. I'm hoping that this slowness, like this, proves that it can connect. I just have to get them closer together. But I'm not giving up. I'm going to shim this up, see if that works. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to try some of the suggestions by uncoupling these so that they're all freewheeling. Try that. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to take it apart, take each of these off, and either make them all north on all 4 cones, or I like the suggestion, I forgot who said it, make every one of these, each one of these strips north, south, north, south, north, north, south. I have to figure out, though, do I want to do north, south, north, south, north, and then south, north, south, north, south. I'm not sure how to do that yet, but I'll cross that bridge as when I come to it. But yeah, it's really weird. If I go slow, it works. So that kind of tells me that maybe if I get them closer together, because they are kind of far apart right now, even though they're N52s. And I've had some suggestions saying to angle the magnets, and that's a great suggestion. And the original one that was done 15 years ago that I saw on a YouTube video that I can't find, the magnets in there were, I believe they were on a slant. But yeah, I'm not reprinting these with some kind of slant profile. Like I said, that's easier said than done, but it's really weird because it works fine as long as it's going slow. And see, even if it's what's really weird, if I turn this one, even if I turn this one fast, it connects to that one. But when I turn this one fast, it doesn't connect. Oh no, it doesn't connect on this one either. Anyway, it's a goofy looking motor, or whatever you want to call it, but I'm not giving up on it yet. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so I've been shimming up this side to see if I can get it to sync. I'm going on my last set of shims. These are like 10 millimeters. And the gap is still too big. I've gotten it to, with this gap, I've gotten it to sync and I've gotten it to go, but I'm unable to get it on camera. I didn't have my camera set up when it happened, so therefore it didn't happen, right? It's, yeah. So I'm going to try to shim it up. That'll be the last time I do the shims. The next thing I'll try is either going to be separating these so that they're wider apart, or I'll go with one of the suggestions. The one that I like the most is taking each of these strips off and making them alternating poles, north, south, north, south, north, south, on all of them. That's the one I like the best. And I don't know why I didn't do it. All of my pulse motors are based on alternating pole configurations. All of them. I don't know why I didn't do that. I think it's because I was going off the memory of this device I saw on YouTube, and I'm pretty sure it was done in attraction mode. But what I'll probably do first, which is the easiest thing to do, is change it from attraction to repulsion. If that doesn't work, then I'll work on change, because it's going to take a lot to do that. It's going to take a lot of, let's see if I can get it going. See, I can get it to sync, but as soon as I add power to it, this thing is really racking. It's really unstable because the magnets are getting closer and closer together. But I have spacers in here and it's not touching. It's just, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to try, like I said, to raise the height of this guy a little bit more. Oh, I got to check that out and find out why that's separated like, oh, there it goes. Okay, that's why it was racking. Anyway, I'm going to raise it up, probably get some better spacer or a longer spacer in here, and see if that can get it to sync up all the time, every time. Like I said, I got it to do it once or twice, didn't have the camera rolling, therefore didn't happen. So stay tuned. Kind of getting it to sync. I put the higher magnets in there. I got to turn it up though, because that guy is not. I can get it to sync a little bit. I'm going to have to redesign the whole thing. Let me turn it off. Yeah, so I think the first thing I need to do is take it all apart. Somebody was asking if this was a choke. This is just a piece of plastic that's supporting the insert, the heated insert, the press fit insert. I'm debating on what to try next. The stand, I think, needs to be redesigned, because I had to, I'm going to have to get some wood out. And I think instead of a square stand, I'm going to try to just do a like a cross, you know, a board this way and a board this way, with one having a, what you call it, a rabbet, so that they sit flush, so that I can then use two rods on here that are long like these. And I think what I'm going to do next is, see, it really pisses me off because I can get it to sync at low speeds at certain times. But as soon as I add power to it, like I said, sometimes it syncs, most of the times it doesn't. And it's weird because sometimes it'll sync going in this direction, other times it'll sync going in the opposite direction. Because like I said earlier, some of these are syncing, some of them are countersyncing or anti-syncing, whatever you want to call it. And I'm trying to remember on the original one. So the original one was made out of wood, and it was big. It was like 4 feet by 3 feet. And I don't remember, I'm pretty sure there were 4 cones on here, but there might have just been 3. There might have been one here, and one here, and these not connected. So obviously that would make it sync really well, taking one of the cones off and having these freewheeling. That would work no problem. But I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive it had 4 on there. Excuse me. I don't know if they were connected the way I have it connected, where this is one piece and these are one piece. I don't remember, and for the life of me, I cannot find that video anymore. And it was called something. It had a really weird name. It began with an M, I think, or a W, either an M or a W. And it was like, yeah, I can't remember what it was. But again, I remember seeing it about 15 years ago, just after I had started on YouTube. Excuse me. So I have a lot of work ahead of me. I'm debating again on whether I should make it all repulsive and give it a try. That would probably be the easiest way. But I think the first thing I need to do is redo the stand. That's going to be a lot of work. There's a lot of inserts in here. I don't have any more of the inserts of that size. I'll have to go with a different size. I could go with it the way it is and just try and change the poles on this top one here. So let me see. Let me give it some thought. Stay tuned. All right, guys. So I'm building the new table. Now I have all the right tools. I have a table saw where I can cut the 1/2-inch depth out of this rabbet section or whatever it's called. I also have a nice router I could use. But whichever way I do it, I was going to do it just making slices with this small hand circular saw. I have some big circular saw. I actually have all the cool tools I need. I'm just debating on whether I should clean the table off that has the table saw and go that route. Here, let me show you. The table saw is underneath this table. Here's the cover for it. And it comes up on some scissor jacks. I'd have to move this guy out of the way. I am not about to do all that. So I think I'm going to use the router. I have all the router bits I need. I don't even know if this video is coming out okay with this sun. I have all the router bits I need. So let me get that going and I'll bring you guys back. Stay tuned. All right, so the router's doing really great. I'm not going down full depth. That's why you still see that line there. I have to go down 1/2 inch in total. Right now I'm only going down about 1/4, a little bit more, just to get the feel of it. I could probably take full depth, but I don't want to chance it. It's not like I use a router every day, even though I have all the toys. This is an old Porter and Cable one. I've got some cordless ones, but I figured I'd go with the dual handle for more control. So getting the inside just going to be repetition, back and forth, or not back and forth. I don't know the difference between, well, I know what the difference between climb cutting is and whatever the other one's called. I know one you should never do unless you have a climb cutting bit. I'm just going to go with the flow. All right, stay tuned. So going back and forth is not an issue when you're going this shallow or going against the spin, I guess you'd call it. So going this way, it's cutting into the wood. Going this way, it's cutting. So yeah, so one is digging in, the other one is just, so when I pull this way, it goes a lot faster, but I don't get as deep. But I'm just going back and forth and then kind of going over this area. I'll plane this down when I get done. But I haven't done any woodworking in a while. That's all I used to do before I got into 3D printing and pulse motors. It was not, well, actually it was pulse motors first, then woodworking for about 10 years, and then back into pulse motors again. Anyway, let me get this going because this is only the first pass. I still have to go down to my final depth. So stay tuned. So really quick, something I forgot about. Guess why there's a dig in there? I forgot that as I go further away from this other side, I lose support on both sides. I have to maintain pressure on the left side. And I completely forgot about that. And it was digging in. I'm like, what's going on? Oh, shit. Should have known better. It looks like this wood was spliced together to make one piece. That's going to suck. It should be all right, though. I'm only going down a little bit more. I wonder why it's not spliced down there. Anyway, yeah, for any of you wannabe woodworkers like me who thinks he's got it down and he's going really fast, and then all of a sudden he realizes, lost support. Anyway, let's get this puppy going. Stay tuned. All right, well, I imagine the real woodworkers out there were looking at this and going and laughing, saying, I can't wait until he figures out his mistake. The mistake was I should have taken full cut of depth the first time, because then I would have had at least half of a platform to work on. Now that I've cut the whole thing with only half the depth, I have to take the rest. And obviously you can see the problem. I can go out to about here before the router starts to tilt. I don't have enough platform. So the easy fix would be, excuse me, to just get a board at the height you need, put it here, and then I can ride across. Problem is, I need a board that is 6.5 millimeters in height. I don't have one. I'm not about to make one. That's too much of a pain in the ass. But then I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm a 3D printing pulse motor channel. I can 3D print a shim or a jig for this guy. So let's go see what I did. Stay tuned. All right, heading into the FL Sun because it can print quick. There it is. A 6.5 high inch shim for the router. It's going to have tabs on it so the router can pull it across. And because I'm using the smooth flex plate, it'll have a nice smooth bottom to ride across the wood. 3D printing to the rescue. Yay! Stay tuned. All right, so here it is. And just as I thought, the smooth edge slides really nice on there. And it doesn't lock on, but it holds itself in place so that when I'm moving it, it kind of stays with it. And it's far enough away, it's far enough away from the plastic, so I don't think it's going to overheat. So yeah, 3D printing to the rescue. Let me finish doing this then. Stay tuned. All right, so the second one I'm taking full depth of cut, and it's coming out really nice. Much better than the first one. Always go to school on the first one. I should have taken the full depth of cut on the first one. It takes a little longer and got to be a little more patient, but it's definitely worth it. The results speak for themselves. So the first one's done. I think I'm going to end it here, guys, because I have to finish building the stand, and then once the stand is built, I'll bring you guys back what I'm going to do for the new configuration for the cone motor. All right.